Good morning. All right, now you guys have sat through a lot of stuff. I'm trying not to put you to sleep here. I just want to talk to you for a quick minute. About 2 years ago, I was in the hospital going through my third spinal surgery. And when you go in for a spinal surgery, you're always thinking like, man, I might not make it. And you start thinking about legacy. What have I left on this planet? What have I imparted into somebody else? And when you start thinking that way, I always look to the past when I want to talk about the future. So I started looking at different movements that happened. I started reading books by Booker T. Washington, Up From Slavery. I started reading about Marcus Garvey and talking about doing for self and making sure that you have your own businesses and your own jobs and stuff like that. Looked at the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. And as I was studying those things, I started to notice patterns. I'm like, well, how come if all this great stuff happened, how come the ghetto was still the ghetto? How come the hood is still the hood? What happened? A couple of things I noticed. One, there's always a leader, right? In all of these movements, there was a leader. There was a superstar. There was a great figure. The problem with that is that we're all human and we're all fallible. Thurgood Marshall's wife used to have to drag him out of the bar. That's true. There are a lot of great men and women who we're human. We make mistakes and we do stuff. So if what we believe in is tied just into us, it can get messed up because of mistakes that we make. Also, that's the clicker. Thank you. Mistakes that we make. Also, one person can get shot, assassinated. You look at Martin Luther King. After he was assassinated, the movement was messed up because you had people fighting, trying to be the next Martin Luther King. You have people right now fighting to be the next Martin Luther King. Another thing that I found was missing was lack of succession planning. And what succession planning is what happens if I get hit by a bus? I always work on a get hit by a bus theory, right? If I walk out here and get hit by a bus, is what I'm doing gonna live past me, right? So when I started thinking about starting something, I wanted it to not be focused on me as a leader or, also, I prefer not to be shot. I think that'd be cool, right? And I'm not perfect. I'm very fallible. So we started thinking about a type of business called a co-op, a cooperative. Now, there are a bunch of different types of cooperatives, but I'm only going to talk about two. One is a worker-owned cooperative. So that's like everybody at this table. Let's say you made wooden shoes, okay? Because wooden shoes are in style, right? So you make wooden shoes, but you control everything that happens in that business. How you get paid, the color of the shoes you wear, everything like that. Right now in East Buffalo, I say East Buffalo, I don't say East Side. I'll tell you why I don't say East Side. People say East Side, and whenever they use the word side, it's always where the minorities are. In Buffalo, you have the West Side. That's where the Hispanic population is mostly. In Buffalo, you say East Side. It's 84% African American. You never say North Side in Buffalo. You never say South Side in Buffalo. When you say South Side Chicago, again, that's where black folks are. So I don't say side. I say I'm from East Buffalo because I'm a part of Buffalo. All right? So, let me get off my soapbox, only to get back on it in a minute. So, and I'm noticing with 84% of the population in Buffalo, when you walk into the stores, I don't see myself represented in these stores. I don't see black ownership in these stores. If there's 84% of us who live somewhere, shouldn't there at least be 50% of the stores I walk in, I can see somebody who's a resident who lives here? How are youth supposed to be it if they can't see it? So when we wanted to start this, we wanted to have a business to where when you walked in, you saw yourself. You're like, oh man, that's Keisha. Oh, that's Tyrone from around the block. So we want a business with ownership, cooperative. We talked about worker-owned cooperatives, then there's consumer-owned cooperatives. And that's when the store is controlled by the people who buy there, which is a novel idea, right? The people who actually spend money here should have some say in what you sell, how it looks, because I want somebody to be as comfortable as possible when they walk into my establishment. I want you to feel free to spend money. So, but that's not what happens. And how the co-op, the day the co-op started, because I knew we wanted to do a co-op, but I didn't know what kind. So I walked into a corner store, and I'll say this, I'm from East Buffalo, right? And I mean, I'm Bissell in Genesee, East Buffalo, Moselle Street, East Buffalo, Perry Projects, East Buffalo. I mean, I'm not like Library, East Buffalo. So we walked into the store, and a lady asked for a pen, and the owner of the shop threw it at her. I mean, like he was trying to take her head off. And I'm like, first I was very, very angry, very, very upset. And I had words with him, but then when I walked out, I said, the reason this happens is because there's no competition. You don't have to be nice to customers when they have nowhere else to go. Because if you're in poverty, you're in hyper-segregation, you don't have a car, you can hate the person who owns the corner store next to your street, but you have to go see that person again. Because there are no alternatives. And I don't believe in crying, whining, complaining about something that's happening in my community, because it's my community. And if it's my community, then the onus is on me to do something about it. You follow me? So if you're seeing something wrong where you are, there's something wrong in your school. If there's something wrong in your community, it's on you to pull it together and make a change and fight for the change in that community. So there's three things that we needed. There are three principles that we used when we started the cooperative. And it sounds funny, right? But if you follow me, you'll understand it at the end. Flat-footed, ashy, and uninvited. But I'm here. So I want you to repeat after me. Say flat-footed, ashy, uninvited. Flat-footed, ashy, uninvited. But I'm here. But I'm here. Say it with your chest. But I'm here. Right? So, your success does not need permission. So, now, we talk about, the young lady was up here talking about boxing. I want to talk about a little bit wrestling and martial arts, and it's all about balance, right? So, the person that has the best balance is the person who eats the least amount of floor. And anybody who will tell you who's wrestled, been in martial arts, will tell you eating the floor is a bad thing, right? Case in point. This fella did not wake up today thinking that this was going to be how it ended. Tragedy. 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 Right? So what happened to him here? He ate the floor. Spoon, fork, no salt. Bang, right? Okay, so what happened to him? When somebody's able to scoop you off your feet like that, it's because you don't have a base. If you drop your base down and you bring your butt low like this and you center your weight, it's hard for somebody to get behind you and scoop you and slam you, all right? This is what flat-footed is. With authority, right? All right. Now, flat-footed doesn't only work in martial arts, but it works in life. You can be thrown in life by bullies. You can be thrown in life by people who don't believe in you. You could be thrown in life by all sorts of things. For example, you could have went to the store, bought a hat. When you bought the hat, it was the best hat you ever saw in your life. You wore it to the side, to the front, to the back, like this is the hat. And then you got to school and somebody said, that's ugly. That is the ugliest hat I've ever seen in my life. At that point, you have two choices. You can be flat-footed and be like, you just a hater. This is my hat. Or you can waver and take your hat off and throw it in the garbage because of what somebody had to say negatively. Here we go. When we started the African Heritage Food Co-op, people were saying, you know, what do you East Side folks know about agriculture? What do you know about food? What do you know about owning businesses and employment? And then, you know, you go back in history and see how much African Americans added to the farming industry, and that becomes ridiculous. But you have to stand on what you believe. People were talking about, why would you call it the African Heritage Food Co-op? Isn't that racist? Well, no. For a bunch of reasons. I lack the power dynamic to be racist, actually, but we could talk about that later. Two, African heritage, we want people to know when they walk through the door that this was black-owned and black-established. We wanted when the kids walked by and they saw those colors, red, black, and green, red for the blood, black for the people, yellow for the sun, green for the earth. We wanted them to know this was your heritage in your community. Meet Ashley Larry. Anybody seen Ashley Larry, David Chappelle show? Got lotion, right? Always rolling the dice, dust is popping up off his hands, right? Hey, they got some new Jordans coming out, though, the new grays. Make sure you cop those. Make sure you get those, all right? $300, all yours. Now, people make fun of people being ashy, right? But ashy people can laugh, cry, walk, talk, eat. You're not going to die because you're ashy, right? It's simply a lack of moisture. And just like your body can lack moisture and function, you can be lacking something and still function. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect hair, the perfect suit, the perfect tie, the perfect background, and you can still go. What are some things that we lack? Money, right? Apparently, they aren't lacking money. They're just throwing it on the floor. And I'm telling you right, like now, I don't care how much money I get. If I'm around people doing that, I'm getting a garbage bag. I'm like, oh, well, you're not using it. You're not using it. It's okay. I'll hold some of this down because apparently you don't know what to do with it. What are other things that we lack? Sometimes we lack what they call a traditional family structure. Maybe we stay with our grandma. Maybe our dad's not there. Maybe our mom's not there. But it doesn't mean just because you don't have both parents or it doesn't look like some people say it should look, that doesn't mean you're doomed to fail. It doesn't mean that you can't be what you need to be in life. When you close your eyes, you think of an entrepreneur, and you think of somebody in business, and you think of somebody trying to do well in business, you don't necessarily envision me. You don't envision some big dreadhead dude walking in to do business. And I love it when I walk into a room and people are like, what is he? Who? Sir, do you know where you are? It happens. But what you do with your ashy, what you do with the things that you lack, you don't pretend. You don't front to be rich when you're not rich. You don't front and pretend to be something that you're not. You accept it. I'm broke. That's okay. I'll be broke now. I won't be broke forever. You know, if you're trying to lose weight, accept the fact that you're not where you want to be right now. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You accept where you are, but you go anyway. Just because you have imperfections doesn't mean you have to go live in a basement and put a box over your head and never do anything. If you wait to be perfect, you'll never do anything. Because let me tell you, I'm 38 and I'm still not perfect. I'm going to be 68 and I'm still not going to be perfect. So when we started with this, we started with 35 families. We started with $900 and we started calling farms. I didn't have any relationship with farms at all. So we made this decision to do a co-op and nobody knew anything about farming or about farms. We were lacking, right? But we went anyway. We got on the phone. Hey, what's going on? How much are your apples? Hey, what's going on? How much are your squash? Hey, what's going on? And now, in the farming community, people know us. And it was a little scary because sometimes you go out there, you'll see like Confederate flags, and I'll be like, maybe I'm gonna go anyway. You're gonna feel uninvited sometimes, you know? You're not supposed to be here. And people will even be worse than that. They'll flat out be like, go home, get out of here. Because they want you to feel inadequate in certain spaces. But let me tell you something. No matter what, no matter what education you get, no matter how you look, there's always going to be somebody who's trying to make you feel like you're not worthy to be somewhere. And you're going to feel like it's not fair. And you're right, it's not fair. But don't argue your acceptance. Don't argue, I should be here. I need to be here, right? How many of you guys heard of a person called Cardi B? How many of you heard of Nicki Minaj? How many of you heard of Remy Ma? All right. So when Remy Ma came out, she was going at Nicki like, I'm the queen of hip hop, blah, 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 blah. Nicki's going back, blah, 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 blah. Cardi B didn't do any of that. Cardi B just was like, hey, you couldn't mess with me if you wanted to. These are funny. Hey, right? And when she did that, she got Best New Hip Hop Artist, Mixtape of the Year. She was nominated for 2 Grammys. And she wasn't worried about, I'm going to beat Nicki, I'm going to beat Remy. I'm just going to stay in my own lane. I'm going to do my own thing. Right? And that's what it's about. People want to put you in this combative, hyper-aggressive thing where you have to compete with people. And you don't have to do that. You just have to compete with yourself and stay in your own lane. What I'm asking you to do is not easy. It's not easy to stand flat-footed and believe in yourself and believe in your principles when people are telling you that you're not worth it, when people are telling you you're ashy, you lacking stuff, when people are telling you you're not invited, you don't need to be here, right? But don't worry about an invitation. Kick the door down. I'm here. I'm here. I want to leave you with this thing. It's a poem that helped me get through a lot of stuff. It's called See It Through by Edgar Albert Guest. When you're up against a trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin and set your shoulders. Plant your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim. But don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If the worst is bound to happen, despite all that you can do, running from it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile when with trouble you're beset. But remember, you are facing just what other men have met. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. Say it with me one more time. Flat foot, ashy, uninvited. Flat foot, ashy, uninvited. But I'm here. But I'm here. But I'm here. Thank you.